They are chanting that slogan synonymous with the Lion of the North, which is Peter Mokaba, the former president of the ANC Youth League, who nurtured and also molded the likes of Fikile Mbalula and the likes of Julius Silo Malema, who has since left the ranks of the ANC Youth League and the ANC. It would be safe to say that Congress is effectively beginning this morning with the number of delegates that here of the Congress. I'm also just going to try and bring in Mzwandile Masina, who comes from the ANC's NEC, who's deployed to this Congress. As you can see, about 65% to 70% of delegates are already inside the conference room. Mr. Masina, can we effectively say now that Congress is beginning? We're seeing a number of delegates, number of regions, number of provinces going in.
Yes, I think we are ready for Congress. All the glitches that were there last night, as we reported, they've now been resolved. All delegates are coming through. Almost we've surpassed 70% of delegates who are inside now. We are encouraging those outstanding regions who are in the hotels to come in here so that we can proceed with the business of conference.
Do you anticipate any boycott from those who may have had issues with the issues of credentials? We saw the messages from Tutugile Zuma in the WhatsApp group of the NYTT, leaked by Sizopila Mkize on social media, that alleging that the current NYTT leadership is running away with discussing the audits of this Congress.
Well, I'm no longer on social media, so I don't know what goes on there, but I think there is no self-respecting member of the Youth League who will abdicate his or her responsibility and not come to the Congress and raise the issues that are pertinent. So I don't want to attribute comments that I have not seen, but just generally, everyone who's a member of the Youth League in good standing, who should be duly accredited, must come here and participate in the Congress.
Mr. Masina, I want to show you these messages. It was on a Facebook profile. You can see the messages here. Greetings, comrades. In yesterday's NYTT, you see, it's being leaked by your own members. They are disputing the credentials and the audits of this Congress amongst themselves.
Anyone who wants to dispute the credentials must come inside the Congress and raise the issues, and the Congress will speak. So we are now at the tail end of the process of the organization. So disputing on social media, sending to journalists is not going to assist to rebuild the Youth League. Where we are now, we want everyone to come in here. If there are issues must be raised. You can see young people are fully charged. They are ready to discharge the services, the organizational responsibilities. So we call upon those comrades, if they are genuine about issues, to take the accreditation, come here and raise issues at Congress so that we can then attend to those issues.
When is the president expected to close this Congress?
He's going to close it tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mzwandile Masina. That is the ANC's ANC-NEC member deployed to this Congress by the National Executive Committee, an 18-member team of the NEC deployed to oversee this particular Congress, which is led by its Secretary General Fikile Mbalula, whom will effectively open this Congress in the next hour after a 24-hour delay.
Samgele Masego on the pulse of that story for us. We'll come back to you, no doubt, a bit later on in the program. Thanks very much indeed for that update. Let's take you to Limpopo now, where scores of people have gathered at the old Fit
Let's go. Let's take our seats, comrades. We're about to begin. You know, it's a curse. I wanted others to sing. Now we are here. All delegates. All delegates. Let's get provincial chairs. Amandla. Comrades of KZN, we're going in the wrong direction. Let's take our seats. Comrades of Limpopo, Mpumalanga, let's sit. Comrades of the Free State, KZN, Eastern Cape, let's take our seats, comrades. Let's start our conference. Let's elect our leaders. And let us ensure that we have a successful ANC Youth League 26 National Conference, comrades. Amandla! Amandla! Comrades, let's take our seats. Let's sit down, comrades of KZN, let's start. Thank you, comrades. Thank you. Comrades, let's all sit. All right. Comrades, thank you very much. We have the media with us, and we know they had to wait outside for a long time. Comrades of KZN, please, let's sit down. I know you want to elect your leaders, but we can only elect our leadership if we sit, and I can open this conference for us as young people. Comrades of Mpumalanga, please also take your seats. I think comrades of Limpopo have sat. Thank you very much, comrades. Comrades of Eastern Cape are seated. We appreciate that. Comrades of Gauteng also, my home province. Let's work with each other, comrades. Thank you very much. Amandla! Awethu! Viva, young people, viva! All right, thank you very much. Comrades, I'm going to start, actually, by addressing our members of the media, from those of the so-called Fourth Estate. And our first point is to, in fact, apologize to the media for a number of misgivings. The first is the changes of times, the delays. We know that you guys in the media have been very, very keen for us to start our conference, and you have been on standby for some time, for some days, in fact. So let me start by apologizing to yourselves. But I'm also told we also like to apologize for the security mishap and delay in the front. But nonetheless, you are here. We have officially opened the ANC Youth League 26th National Congress. Yes, comrades, we are here. We have officially opened it. And we will bring to a close the time of task teams. We will bring to a close the time of unelected leaders, and we will ensure that we as young people decide who our leadership are. This is a very historic moment. We are very humbled as an NYTT collective to be the comrades who finally deliver the long-awaited Congress. I also want to bring everyone up to speed. We've had our prayer, but to our members of the media, we didn't take a moment of silent meditation. As we said earlier, not everybody observes the more well-known religions. So just to get everyone into their seats, we're going to take a moment of silent meditation or prayer, and then we're going to go into the national anthem. And this is a heads up to the audio-visual team to have our national anthem prepared, and then we'll go straight into that. Thank you very much, comrades. All right. Thank you very much for that, comrades. Can we now stand to observe the national anthem of the country? Can the team in the technical grouping and the audio visual please have that play? Comrades, it's the national anthem. It is.
Let us all
Thank you. That was very important that we also observe the AU anthem. It's fundamentally important as part of our Pan-Africanist, but also, as many will know, the fight to ensure that we as an African continent can have our say on a global perspective. Comrades, I'm now actually going to step aside, Freudian slip, and I'm going to welcome to the podium, in fact, the coordinator, Comrade Nomasonto Mutaung, who will take us through the next session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, comrades. I'm going to call the deputy convener, Comrade Fasia Hassan, to come and present political report for us. Amandla, Comrade Fasia, Amandla.
Comrades, we can sing louder. It's our first political report in many years. Let's put some more into it. I'll wait. I'm going to be forced to sing your Solomon and embarrassment. Okay, I'm willing to start Iyo Solomon only if all delegates and the NYTT and the ANC NEC who are present sing with us. And then someone has to take over. Is that a promise? Okay, I'm going to start. Media, you're not going to see this again in a long time, and it will likely be a meme and go on TikTok. But it's fine. Let's try. Fees must fall, coming out. All right. Iyo Solomon. Guys, you gotta come with me. Come on. That's how it works. Amandla! Amandla! Comrades, this 26th National Conference must be acknowledged as the one where I embarrassed myself by singing in front of all delegates, NYTT and the ANC NEC. So I think I deserve a round of applause just for putting myself out there. Thank you. Thank you very much. Comrades, members of the media, we've got ANC, NEC members, we've got guests from all over the world. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Fasiha Hassan. I am the deputy convener of the ANC Youth League. I'm also a young person in the space like many others, but I thought it important to introduce myself because a lot of us are new faces to the space given the fact that we have not yet had a national conference. Indeed, it's here. We're here. The President, in his absentia, he will be closing the conference. The ANC SG and national officials, some of them are going to be in and out. We acknowledge you. The ANC NEC, we have different provincial leaders as well who are with us. We've also got NYTT members. And of course, I want to acknowledge our international guests. Who have also joined us. I know we have comrades from all over the continent, all over the world, particularly those who we wage international struggle with. We know that we have the Palestinians with us. We have comrades of Swaziland, of SWAPO, of other sister liberation organizations, and I want to acknowledge every single one of you who have come through, traveled hundreds of thousands of kilometers to join us for this very auspicious and fundamentally important ANC Youth League National Conference. But most importantly, I want to welcome and acknowledge the thousands of delegates who are here before us from all over the provinces, from all over the countries. I really want to give you a round of applause as young people for fighting for this conference and for ensuring that we have elected leadership for yourselves as young people. Malibongwe! Igama lama nkosikazi! Long live the spirit of Charlotte Maxeke, long live! Long live the fighting spirit of Comrade Charlotte Maxeke, long live! Long live the fighting spirit of Mam Leni Lingoi, long live! Long live the fighting spirit of Mam Albertina Sisulu, long live! Long live the fighting spirit of Umam Winnie Mandela, long live! And long live the fighting spirit of Umam Jesse Duarte, long live. We must also acknowledge the ANC Youth League presidents who have graced us with their presence, the formers. I had a long list starting from Nelson Mandela, Anton Lembede, Peter Mokaba, but I was told these ones that are alive, we must also acknowledge them as former ANC Youth League presidents, as it's a fundamental, important element. Comrades, the political report should, in fact, be flighted on the screens. I don't know if we're having a technical challenge, but this report is going to be delivered in terms of section 4.2D of the ANC Youth League Constitution. Comrades, I know we're hearing about copies. It is going to be here. We're also going to have a link. I think they're in the process of printing it, but everything moves very slowly, unfortunately, in some of these elements of Congress. But comrades, you will be receiving the political report in its entirety, but this is just here so that comrades can see it in the meanwhile. Comrades, it is an honor and it is in fact a humbling process to be the first young person or first woman to in fact deliver the political report of the ANC Youth League in its 79-year history. And it is something that must be acknowledged in the renewal process of the Youth League, because many did not want to see this conference happen. Many did not want to see us as young people choose our leaders, and many did not want us as young people to be at the forefront of self-determining and deciding what our futures look like. This is also the first political report in nearly a decade, almost 10 years, and it is a defining moment today since the founding of the ANC Youth League in 1944. And it is a historic moment because we as young people have yearned for youth leaders. And the absence of the youth voice in the Congress movement has been a glaring indictment on the state of the ANC Youth League, on the state of the ANC, and of course on the government itself, who has left young people behind. This moment is also historic because it is the first time that our political report is delivered by a collective that encapsulates all the fundamental principles of the Congress movement as purported by our ANC Youth League constitution, and that is non-racialism, non-sexism, unity, democracy, and prosperity. This is a moment to redefine what it means to be a youth movement centered in the South African context, but also at a time where the African continent is crying out for young people to take the reins of leadership to define our own future. This 26th National Congress of the ANC Youth League is also taking place during Youth Month, which is a particularly significant time for us as young people in South Africa, as it celebrates the generation of 1976 and the fight for equal education. The generation of Hector Peterson, of Tsitsi Mashinini, inspired our generation to further the struggle and improve access to higher education through movements such as Fees Must Fall. On the renewal and the autonomy of the Youth League. As we embark on this journey of renewal, we draw on our incredible heritage of leaders such as Anton Lembede, Lillian Ngoyi, and Oliver Tambo. The renewal of the African National Congress Youth League marks a pivotal moment in our organization's history, and we recognize the need to adapt to the changing social and political landscape. The ANC Youth League has embarked on a transformative journey to rejuvenate its ranks and reconnect with the aspirations of South African youth. And that is through a comprehensive reform agenda. The Youth League has prioritized inclusivity, democratic participation, and the promotion of progressive ideals. By engaging with young people from various backgrounds, amplifying their voices and addressing their concerns, a renewed ANC Youth League aims to invigorate the spirit of activism and mobilize a new generation of leaders committed to the principles of equality, social justice, and economic empowerment. This renewal represents a dynamic step towards the revitalization of youth politics in South Africa and holds the potential to shape the future of our nation. If the ANC Youth League is to survive the next phase of its existence, it must assert its autonomy. And while we exist within the framework of the ANC and the broader mass democratic movement, it is our standing as an organization that has been compromised by leaders who have attached themselves to the hips of elders. And we must break this habit and determine our own path and our own future as young people, starting today. 30 years into our democracy, young people remain on the fringes of our economy. Stats SA, through South Africa's quarterly labor force survey, all of this is on the document, you can Google it later, but for the first quarter of 2023, that's this year, painted a grim picture of the youth unemployment rate in our country. It has increased to 46.5%, but as some people may know, the unemployment rate is only calculated on people who are actively looking for jobs. How many young people do we know who have completely given up looking for jobs and opportunities, and they are not included in these statistics, and they are still outside of the economy? And this is a national crisis and requires a necessary national crisis intervention. The interventions, although novel at this point, have not been sufficient to put a significant dent in this number. In fact, let's do something, comrades. If you are unemployed, please raise your hands. This is my point, and this is the point of the ANC NYTT Youth League. This is exactly the national crisis. Comrades Amandla! This is the national crisis we are speaking to. This is the intervention we require as young people, not just of the ANC Youth League, but of the country as a whole, because we will not be left behind. We will not have elders decide for us. We as young people will ensure that we in fact bring an end not only to youth unemployment, but to economic opportunities. Comrades, the bomb is about to explode. I can see it starting there. This Asna Mali, I agree with you. The bomb is about to explode. And we as the ANC Youth League cannot be spared. Amandla! It's fine. It's fine. It's true. Asina Mali. Asina Mali. I can sing this song too. Asina Mali. Asina discipline? Comrades of Gauteng, high morale? Thank you, comrades. The ANC Youth League National Congress, this Congress, must put forward practical and determined interventions to cut the unemployment rate amongst young people. This bomb is going to explode, and we as the Youth League will not be spared. Unfortunately, South Africa remains a subject in the global economy which is skewed to favor developed countries and the global West. This cannot be used, however, as a cop-out to absolve our leadership from taking responsibility for opening up the economy to us as young people. We must be more aggressive in utilizing our political power to create those changes that will supply jobs and opportunities for us as young people. In addition, comrades, we have to address the state of corruption in the state and in the private sector, which is not spoken about. And it robs us as young people of opportunities, of economic opportunities, of funding for our SMEs, for jobs, for education. And so often we only look at corruption in the public service, which we must, but that does not absolve the private sector from them playing a role in the current crisis in fixing South Africa. And so we must continue to hold accountable those who steal from us, especially as young people. Comrades, the era of digitization is also upon us. It's why our links are going to come there. The documents are not going to necessarily be printed. It's all on our phones. The era is here. And the opportunity for us as young South Africans to be active participants in a growing digitized economy must not be missed. The skills gap that exists must be addressed urgently so that we are able to take full benefit from this. When we talk about this fourth industrial revolution, it is a buzzword. It must mean something to us as young people. The advent of artificial intelligence, of big data, of all of these things that are happening without us, young people must be at the center. And it means we can have skills for the jobs of tomorrow and of today. On nationalization for industrialization, I'm seeing it's a different version that's being flighted. That's fine. We'll ensure that the correct version is sent not just to National Congress, it will also go to commissions, and we will ensure that each and every delegate has the correct version of this document. On nationalization for industrialization, unlike many others, the ANC and the Youth League's perspective on the land question is not to have, just as an outcome, the state as a landlord to the poor, landless peasantry, but rather, comrades, with limited restrictions to share the land amongst those who work it. And in this regard, the ANC Youth League is required to sharpen our position on the linkage between land ownership and land use rights. Our perspective is informed by the Freedom Charter, and that is that as peasants, not in a land of struggle, we must have a land not leased to us, not overlorded by institutions or civic or traditional authorities, but rather to own our own land in a manner that we choose. And it must be, whether it is individual or collective, under the institutional, distributional, and governance framework of our own choosing. The ANC Youth League is agitating also for the expropriation of land without compensation in the metros as well, not just in rural areas. And we must release land for housing construction. Rents on social housing must be reduced. The sale of well-allocated state land parcels must also be subject to public consultative processes that the ANC Youth League must organize the youth to participate in. The mineral wealth of the country, comrades, must be sustainably used to benefit the poor masses of our country. A state-led reindustrialization project must be promoted to overcome the issues faced by our people, but also to make sure that we as South Africans have a competitive market for this new industry. Excuse me. The nationalization of our country's mineral wealth must be purposefully executed. Our intention is not to embark on the purge of the private sector, but rather to extract value for our people, for us as young people, but keeping an open and competitive market. In terms of the social issues, and the comrades who are flighting, you can go a little bit up for comrades now to be with me, actually down. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Now we can go together as a group. On the social issues, comrades, the plight of women, particularly young women in a society that is still patriarchal across the socioeconomic spectrum is a challenge that this Youth League must address. No longer can women of our country continue to be second-class citizens. We will not be bullied and we will not be abused by men. And this is not rhetoric. It is not academic. It is something that we as the Youth League must and will champion. The reality for young people who are treated, or young women rather, who are treated as commodities for opportunity and space in the mainstream economy. Again, this is not rhetoric. This is the reality of young women who are faced with the adversity of teenage pregnancy while their male counterparts escape unscathed. This is not rhetoric. This is the reality of young women, old and young, who are raped daily in our country. We must be honest, comrades. The development of young people in this country is derailed by the rampant abuse and glorification of alcohol and drugs, the excessive consumption of content relating to luxury, spurred on by a capitalist system through social media, further degrades the goals of building a productive society and a non-racial, non-sexist community. As a result, young people are literally consumed by instant gratification. And while our Constitution ensures the rights of people with sexual orientation and gender identity be protected, our society still needs a lot of education and sensitization to protect and respect people who identify differently. And we must condemn the recent archaic criminalization of the queer community, of the LGBTQIA+ community in Uganda, and call on young people across the continent to show practical solidarity to fellow Ugandans and Africans who identify as queer. Comrades, I want to acknowledge the Secretary General of the ANC. I wanted to finish that part. Unobala is with us. Thank you very much. Nobala, we're going to continue with the political report in the instance of time. Comrades, you saw that Nobala gave me a heads up. We're going to continue. Comrades, on the project of non-racialism, it has been under attack in recent times by regressive forces and narrow nationalist interests. We have seen this most recently in the race-baiting tactics of the Democratic Alliance, in the lies that have been peddled about affirmative action reforms being adopted by our government. The ANC Youth League must be the vanguard of social cohesion and must be disciplined in fulfilling a non-racial society as envisioned in the National Democratic Revolution. We must also agitate for the implementation of the goals of broad-based Black economic empowerment, that is BEE strategy, so that the most vulnerable in our society are empowered to participate fully in the economy. We must also ensure that our leadership is representative of the demographics of our society, and the mass democratic movement can only be successful if it is inclusive. And that goes, as I said earlier, also for the LGBTQIA+ community. The ANC, despite all of its flaws, remains the only truly non-racial organization in this country. And we must forever remain vigilant as narrow nationalist and Afrophobic rhetoric infiltrates our movement. And as an ANC Youth League, we cannot fail to recognize the importance of diversity, and we will be the biggest losers should we fail to do so. On the balance of forces, I know when we get to the balance of forces now, you see all the intellectuals coming up. I remember as a young person, I didn't even know what the balance of forces was when I first joined the movement. So it's okay if you don't know. We'll start here and we'll unpack it in commissions. At this current moment in society, the balance of forces, that means the balance of the power dynamics, of the power relations, is heavily influenced by a crisis of neoliberalism. If you don't know what neoliberalism is, you can also Google it. We'll also unpack it later. It's a crisis. Must Google that thing. It's a crisis. Most aptly, it is exemplified by a rise in right-wing populists and affirmations in the global West. And as a result, the notion of a multipolar global order is under severe threat. This means that power is shifting more, or attempting to shift more, to Western dynamics and not really having enough power in different parts of the world, and that includes specifically Africa. As the ANC Youth League, we are unequivocal about our desire for a multipolar global system. While the West regresses to its preferred unipolar system, that's a one-power system, the global South is actively pursuing the goal of multipolarity. Okay, I tried. Young people, we must be within the context of BRICS. Young people within the context of BRICS, must future-proof the industries and the economies that we are likely to inherit by agitating for a more significant role in the BRICS bloc. This Youth League must be vocal about the establishment of the BRICS Youth Secretariat that will have more sway in conversations and decisions around substantive issues affecting our trading bloc. Issues such as technology, energy, education, conflict, healthcare must be dealt with by us as young people. Our ideas, our proposals must be formalized in the BRICS bloc. The ANC Youth League also notes the UN Security Council is stubbornly untransformed. They are devoid of a permanent seat from Africa, and the reform of the United Nations is a necessary step towards a more equal world. The Youth League also needs to play a leading role in uniting progressive youth formations across the African continent. The state of disorganization amongst young people in Africa has reached crisis levels. Our problems as young people will only continue to grow if we continue to maintain the patronage-based, regressive politics of the current generation of African leaders. The headquarters of the Pan-African Youth Union must be moved from Morocco until such a time that they end the colonial occupation of Western Sahara. Only then can it be safe from colonial and imperial forces. South Africa can also only be prosperous if our region is prosperous. The upcoming elections in Zimbabwe is an important moment for our region. South Africa must play a more active role in deepening and strengthening democracy in our neighboring countries. We call on the government of Zimbabwe to commit to conducting a free and fair election that will be undisputed in its outcome and that will reflect the will of the Zimbabwean people. In terms of the conflicts that affect South Africa and Africa, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, I know it's been a huge topic of discussion, even this week with the SG and our different dialogues. Comrades, this war was while not only disastrous, it is one that is plaguing the world. It has most significantly contributed to a global economic and political crisis, which South Africa finds itself at the center of. We commend the principled stance taken by the ANC-led government to reassert the active non-aligned movement in bringing about peace and stability in regions of conflict. We must not be bullied in bringing about that peace. We must not be bullied by anyone, seeking to advance their agendas through violence or war, particularly not the West. We do, however, note that Ukraine has the right to territorial integrity and for its sovereignty to be respected. Comrades, we must not be naive. We must not romanticize an order that no longer exists. Today's Russian Federation is not the USSR of old. And having said that, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that is NATO, their expansion eastwards must be treated with the contempt it deserves. On the Sudan conflict, the continued instability that we are seeing in the Horn of Africa, particularly in Sudan, erodes the noble goal of silencing the guns on the African continent, a mission we must champion as young people, even on the domestic front. We cannot continue to live in a society where our differences are solved through the barrel of the gun. And as we recommit ourselves to progressive internationalism, we must take our fight for freedom to new heights. Condemnations and rhetoric are no longer sufficient. The people of Palestine, and I know we have our guests, the people of Western Sahara who are also here, the people of Eswatini also face continuous waves of repression and despotic tactics, and they require practical interventions to ensure the struggle for freedom. Comrades, on climate change and climate justice, this is very, very important. Remember, we are young people. When this thing becomes its worst, we will still be here. And with all due respect to the eldership, they may not be. It will be us who has to fight for food security. It will be us who must lead wars that are fighting for water. It will be us who must deal with the existential crisis that will wipe out the majority of the population of this world. So climate change cannot be taken off the agenda, nor can climate justice. Developed countries have contributed almost exclusively to the crisis that we now find ourselves in. And the one country that finds itself in a precarious position on the list of carbon contributors is us as South Africa. We are number 12 on the list of the worst carbon polluters in the world. South Africa is amongst the few developing countries with such a high carbon footprint. This goes China, India, all of them. We are still ranked at number 12. Our annual average contribution, comrades, according to a 2017 study, is 556 million metric tons of carbon. And this is mainly generated from our almost exclusively coal-fired electricity generation fleet, which I'll speak to in a moment. South Africa's renewable energy potential is amongst the best in the world. Comrades, the just energy transition must be fair, it must be equitable, and it must be sustainable for future generations. We will not bring an end to coal, but we must have an energy mix that does bring about an end to load shedding. That means young people don't have to close their businesses when they don't have electricity. It means when somebody is studying at school or university or college, they are not closed out of the economy. So we must have a progressive energy mix that we determine as the progressive left in this country about how it looks like and what it means. In South Africa, it means more than just simply shifting to more environmentally friendly sources of energy production. For us, comrades, it is an opportunity to build a more climate-resilient nature that is economically productive and prosperous. I know, comrades of KZN, you had terrible floods, also a result of climate change. Most recently now, with those tornadoes, hundreds and thousands of people again must start from scratch. This is the real impact of climate change that we cannot ignore. That is why it is an opportunity for us to build climate-resilient infrastructure. That means that despite what happens, we as a South African society not only survive, but we thrive in the process. And we are currently seeing that devastating impact of the climate crisis on the East Coast. We spoke about the disastrous tornado, and we've still not recovered from the floods from the severe tropical storms last year. And comrades, these extreme weather patterns are only going to get worse, and we need to prepare our communities adequately for them while we address the issues of decarbonization, particularly those living in informal settlements and particularly the most marginalized. Comrades, South Africa has had a long and sometimes difficult past with mining. Our land was stolen from us when the colonial conquest reached our shores. The Dutch and British imperial regimes forced our people to work in the depths of the earth, extracting natural resources for the benefit of their own economies, leaving our people poverty-stricken and without hope. Coal mining, while to produce electricity in the main, is a significant contributor to our economy. It employs around 90,000 people in the sector, and this is a huge number compared to other countries. Many of the workers in this industry are exposed to all kinds of danger and thus live poor quality lives. The need to move these people to healthier jobs that are sustainable has never been more urgent. And privately owned mines must pursue a dynamic reskilling program to prevent the potential mass job loss in the sector. But there's also a great need to balance the adverse effects of closing coal mines or even just reducing the output of coal mining activities to produce energy. But very importantly, comrades, we will not be putting an end to coal. We understand what it means to the economy, we understand what it means to people, but we must explore the use of clean coal to extract the best value for our mineral wealth while remaining committed to our climate change goals, but also to the people of our country. Comrades, on energy, and I was low-key waiting for the lights to go off, timing, load shedding. South Africa has one of the best 3 solar energy potentials in the world, in the entire world. Our country receives an average of 2,500 hours of sunshine per year, and between 4.5 and 6.6 kilowatt hours of radiation levels. So what does that mean? Studies have shown us also that wind power potential is at 6,700 gigawatts, making it competitive, or as competitive with the solar potential. Again, what does that mean? An energy mix that includes this vast potential can only result in a more stable source of energy and less complicated transmission systems that could mean an end to both the huge carbon footprint we currently have, but more importantly, load shedding. So this is where we are in terms of what we're producing. This is what we need. Can't cut out coal because we need it. But this gap, this in-between part, that's where we can put solar power. That's where we can put wind power. And why is this important to a national Congress of the Youth League? Who's going to have those skills? Who must be the one who are installing those solar panels, which, by the way, all come from China? There's a huge crisis in the supply chain. It must be us that produces those solar panels. It must be us that manufactures it. It must be us that installs it. It must be us as young people who are at the center of that agenda and creating green jobs. And that is fundamental, comrades, to the inclusion of our communities and small-scale owned power producers, particularly black-owned small-scale power producers, that will dramatically improve the potential for our communities to become more climate resilient and economically active. As we address the question of energy security, we must be careful not to be pulled into a debate around renewables versus fossil fuels. Remember what I did here? You can't put them up against each other. This creates a false dichotomy which is not going to solve our energy crisis. For us to have a strong industrial economy, we need energy security, and we need it now. The question that we as young people must grapple with is, where are our opportunity costs as a nation, and how can we best utilize it to successfully not only decarbonize the planet, but to make sure that young people are at the center of that agenda. Comrades, on elections, and I have to take a sip of water before we do that. 30 years after our first democratic election, many in the room, partly born free, millennials, Gen Zs, it's been 30 years since our first democratic election. I don't think there's anybody here who should be remembering it, maybe behind me, but I think we were all very small, if not, or not even born. In 1994, this happened, we know. But we must ask ourselves as young people, how close are we really to a better life for all? This is what the motive forces of the National Democratic Revolution voted for in 1994. And South Africans who will go to the poll in 2024 for our general election. Young people, us, make up the majority of the population, and yet we remain one of the largest unregistered groups. One of the twin tasks of the ANC Youth League is to rally young people behind the banner of the ANC. And just as we say that the Youth League is fundamental to the renewal of the ANC, we can equally say that a vibrant and relevant Youth League is critical to providing a victory for the ANC at next year's elections. Comrades, there are those who have stolen from us as the Youth League, the 7 cardinal pillars. Our ideas have been stolen, our principles, our values, and they purported to be something new. It is not. It is the Youth League of old that was the radical shift in this country. And we will not allow our history or our future to be stolen from us by other political parties purporting to be the vanguard of young people. It must be us starting today as we elect our youth leadership that we decide what the future of this country looks like. So let us show that as we live and breathe, the values instilled on us from the likes of Mam Albertina Sisulu and Walter Sisulu, Bram Fisher, Mam Sophie Williams de Bruyn, and the late Comrade Jesse Duarte. Comrades, on elections, there's an important point that I must make. The majority of the population is under the age of 35. It's us. If every single young person of voting age in this country registered to vote, the voter's role would look fundamentally different. It means we can turn parliament on its head. We can turn provincial legislations on its head. We can turn cabinet on its head. And we can say that we as young people will no longer wait for a seat at the table. We are going to take that seat because we deserve that seat as young people in this country. And if we register young people to vote, automatically the leadership behind us, what do we say to them? You want votes? You want to win the elections? Young people must be at the center of the agenda. So comrades, if there's nothing you take away from this National Congress, it must be to mobilize and to organize young people in this country so that when we come to the ballot in 2024, it is us as young people who have determined what that outcome is going to be. Gone must be the days where ministers who have no idea of our lived experience, who have never understood our experiences as young people, make decisions for us. Gone are the days where we as young people are left behind in the economy. Gone are the days where our leadership is decided for us. Gone are the days where we as young people are left on the side of the street with nothing. Gone are the days we are twiddling our thumbs in townships, waiting for something to happen to us. Nobody is going to save us, comrades. Nobody. There is no Messiah, there is no silver bullet. It is us as young people who must take up that mantle. And it is not just here. It is not just in the ANC Youth League. It is young people all over this country who are languishing, who are giving up. How many young people are going overseas and leaving the country? How many young people are committing suicide? How many young people have given up on us as a youth league because we have not fought for them? So comrades, today that changes. And it's not just about electing leadership. Go out into your communities, take these policy positions, tell them what we're going to do about youth unemployment, tell them what we're going to do about energy, tell them what we're going to do about safety and security, so that come next year elections, you comrades are sitting on this side. You are the comrades who make the decisions in cabinet. You are the comrades who make the decisions in parliament, and you are the comrades and young people who determine the future of this country. So comrades, as I conclude, we are here to reclaim our autonomy. That's to the SG, to the ANC, NEC. We are here, we are walking out with our autonomy. Nothing less. And we will elect the best among us. We will take our rightful places in the annals of history as agents of change. And we will assert our agenda of economic freedom and social change. Now, not later. We are setting forth the programs of action for young people. And we commit not only to be deserving of them, but to fighting for them as young people. Amandla! Amandla! Viva young people, viva! Roar, young lions, roar! More comrades, roar! We are left out of the economy, comrades. I want to hear you roar, because when we close this conference, we are coming for everything. That energy, that fire, that's what we're going to do to change this country. And it will be you and it will be us as young people who decide that future. Thank you very much.
Report for us. Comrades, after tabling of all the reports in this plenary, we are going to take all the reports for discussions in our commissions. Comrades, let me call Comrade Poshia Tuta to come and do acknowledgement of our guest. Thank you very much.
Winnie Mande Amanda Awetu. Greetings, comrades. Without wasting any more time, I would like to acknowledge our guests who are deployed from the National Executive Committee of the ANC. I would like to greet Comrade Melusi Kigaba, the former Secretary General, the former Provincial Secretary of KZN, who's also former President of the ANC Youth League 3 terms, and the current ANC NEC member. Greetings to Comrade Sandi Morake, the former Deputy Chairperson of Limpopo, former Deputy Secretary General of the ANC Youth League 2015-2019, and the current ANC member of the ANC. Nobuhle Nkabane, the former Regional Chairperson of the ANC Youth League in Herigwara Region, KwaZulu-Natal, former ANC PC of the ANC and current ANC NEC member. Greetings to Comrade Stella Ndabeni Abrahams, the former PC of the Youth League in Eastern Cape, former NWC member of the Youth League, former PC of the ANC in Eastern Cape and current ANC member, NEC. I would also like to greet Comrade Sihle Zigalala, former Secretary General of the ANC Youth League, former Provincial Chairperson of ANC KZN, current ANC NEC member. Also Comrade Mzwandile Masina, former PC of the ANC Gauteng Province, former convener of the ANC Youth League NTT 2013, former ANC Ekurhuleni Chairperson and current ANC member. Mandla, Awetu.
Thank you, Comrade Poshia. Comrades, let me call the Secretary General of the ANC, Comrade Fikile Mbalula, to come and address us.
Amanda! 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 Zoyithola kanjani? Uhlele khoneni. Zoyithola kanjani? Uhlele khoneni. Ndiyabhala uyacima. Into enjani leyo? Ndiyabhala uyacima. Into enjani leyo? Amanda! Awethu! Mata! Raw Young Lions, raw! Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, comrades, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, comrades, 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 order. Comrades, order, thank you very much. Order, comrades, can you sit down? Comrades, comrades, thank you very much. Comrades, order please. Ayihlale phansi bamba umthetho. Ayihlale phansi bamba umthetho. Ayihlale phansi bamba umthetho. Thank you, comrades, and thank you to the program directors, members of the National Executive Committee of the ANC present here, former leaders of the ANC Youth League in their different generations present here today. Comrades, it is a great day today. that we have finally arrived at Nasrec to convene the Youth League National Conference. It is important for the life of this youth organization. It is a journey that started many years ago. And in terms of this process, it has been characterized by a number of challenges in terms of arriving at this point. Comrades, we want to thank all comrades who were given a task to convene at the different levels. Some of the comrades who were given a task have accepted with discipline when the ANC told them to step back. And there are many comrades who went with us through this journey, up until Comrade Kola. There are many. Comrade Joy, I want to thank her for a job well done. Comrade Joy, I want to thank her for having also accepted to step back. I want to thank Comrade Noneba also, who accepted to step back when she was asked to do so. The task to convene the Youth League comrades, it has always been a privilege, not a right. And that task resides with the ANC. Today you have a responsibility of electing your own leadership. You cannot come here in this conference and argue about people who were appointed. You must come here and fight for your leadership. Ola was withdrawn and that decision will not be changed because that decision was taken by the ANC. You have a responsibility in this conference with all its imperfections to elect your own leadership. I'm happy to come to this conference with all the challenges to see the level of discipline. I have seen that there are others who still think that the ANC is still the ANC of the old. And they are still on the terrain of being loose and ill-disciplined. And comrades, I want to assure you, continue with your ill-discipline, but your time will arrive. We will not hesitate to deal with ill-discipline in the organization. If you have to hate us for that must be the case. We will never tolerate anarchy and ill-discipline in the African National Congress. The journey to come here, comrades, has not been easy. And I want to thank, besides the comrades I've mentioned, I want to thank members of the NYTT. We drew some of them from Parliament. Some of them, we got them in the organization, not deployed anywhere. And we gave them this responsibility. And it has not been an easy responsibility. And I want to tell you, comrades, we had to nudge, and then ensure that we arrive where we are now. And where we are, it has been very difficult. And we must observe this moment. As the ANC, we want young people to reclaim their own youth league. We don't want you ever to be convened by the ANC or to be disbanded. Because this notion of disbanding youth league structures is politically problematic, comrades. Because it gives license to everyone who wants to run the youth league to appoint the people of their choice. The youth must decide their own leadership in their own conferences. And today is not the concluding process. It is the beginning. It is the beginning of that journey where we come from over the past 5 years. The youth of South Africa want leadership of the ANC Youth League. Comrades, there is no youth, there is no political formation in this country, I dare say, that has got the largest political youth organization like the ANC Youth League in the ANC. Nobody. I see them trying there and there and so on, but they will never match the ANC Youth League. I see them trying to form political youth organizations. They can never match the ANC Youth League. The ANC Youth League is more than 60 years old. It was formed in 1944. It's not a youth organization, Yomafigizo. It is an organization that has gelled, that has matured with time. And it has faced a number of challenges. Now, comrades, we are gathered to fix ourselves and to get out of here with a sense of hope and a semblance of an organization. What may come out of this conference in itself will not be something that you can define as total perfection. But today we are starting a journey towards ensuring that the Youth League addresses the challenges that are faced by young people. What are the tasks of the youth today? The Youth League says it rallies the youth on socio-economic issues, and then it mobilizes them and nurture them for the African National Congress. Unapologetically. We are not South African Youth Council. We are the youth of the ANC. Now, what are the socio-economic challenges that face the youth? In education, the youth today are faced with a number of challenges which include academic exclusion. And I don't want to talk about financial exclusion because you have championed and intervened in terms of saying to the ANC government, give us free education. And that is why we have seen leaders like Fasia, like Nompendulo, from our ranks, leading the struggle for free education in our struggle, supported by the South African Student Congress and the ANC Youth League in the trenches of South Africa. And you must never take that for granted. And that struggle, in terms of its finality, and in terms of theorization and what must be done for free education in South Africa, the ANC Youth League must lead that particular struggle. We are faced with a big challenge today of a disengaged youth, unemployed youth, disengaged youth. Majority of young people are in the unemployed reserve. They drop out of school, They suffer from early teenage pregnancy and of all those social ills. What is the answer to those problems? And we have said that the answer is National Youth Service. National Youth Service partially has been implemented, but not holistically. It has actually been implemented in snippets through learnerships and all of that. But the youth continue to toil, unemployed, with no hope. They are in the reserves of unemployment in their numbers in South Africa. Neither the learnerships can actually address their issues. The other day, comrades argued and said that EPWP must be defined as employment. We said EPWP can't be defined as employment in terms of policy. It is an intervention of poverty alleviation. So if you want EPWP to be transformed, you've got to research and give answers. Is it feasible in the context of our fiscus and the economic situation? The same as we have argued that this notion that young people who are finishing at school before they work, they need experience. We have argued in the ANC manifesto that must be done away with. And young people must be allowed to be employed without giving a prescription that they need to go for a particular period before they are employed. They must gain experience in the workplace. That is what we have said. The ANC Youth League is at the center of those particular struggles, to inform, to champion, and to lead. And lobby the African National Congress and its government to implement a holistic policy on youth development. That policy is not static, comrades. It is evolving. I listened to Fashia talking about in a political report, well-informed report, politically, characterizing what is before us. The question you must grapple with is, what are the tasks of the youth? And that struggle and that task falls squarely on your hands. I'm saying education, unemployment, areas of intervention. What is it that we need to do? You marched, comrades, some years back. You said economic freedom. And the ANC answered and said the second transition, when we turned 100 years, must be defined by the struggle for economic emancipation. The 2017 conference of the ANC, or the one before that, in Mangaung, said that this economic emancipation must be radical. Other people then took the slogan, economic freedom, and formed political parties around it. And then others now I see they take RET, they want to form political parties around it. Those are policies of the ANC, they are in the strategy and tactics. And you said in that RET, in this hall, that what then defines radicalism? In terms of land, we said it must be expropriated without compensation. And that came from the ANC Youth League. And you need to be proud of that, because it is the youth of the ANC that made that particular contribution. The youth then went further and say the National Reserve Bank must be nationalized. You then said you must create a mining company. That's what you actually said. And the other day, we were looking at the post office and creating what we call a state bank. And I went to KZN province, and the comrades were making contribution in terms of the transformation of the post bank in the realization of this resolution of the state bank. These are all features of radicalism that were defined in the strategy and tactics, that in the second transition, we have attained political freedom. There is a necessity for us to accelerate economic emancipation of our people, radically so. So the ANC Youth League must be at the helm and at the center of that particular struggle. Comrades, we are done with the chapter of the NYTT. The NYTT could not lead this particular program. Only the Youth League leadership with a program of action from this conference will address and respond to these particular tasks. And that is what is important. The youth out there is not interested how we are fighting, who wants to be president. They don't even know some of the people you touting to be presidents. Because once they are elected, we've got to do a lot of PR. So the youth want to know what answers is the Youth League doing and responding to their challenges. That's what is important out of this conference. How difficult it is, but it is important to underline that particular point. And we have said, comrades, that in terms of the NYTT, that thank you, comrades, for the work that you have done. That is why the NYTT withdrew comrades from different structures of the organization. They were deployed by the African National Congress to lead this important task. In the process, some of them were elected in the ANC National Executive Committee in the last national conference here in Nazareth. Zuko Kodlimpi, Noneba, Joy, you can mention them. They come from the ranks of the youth. You can mention Malusi Gigaba, the former president. You can mention Sihle Zigalala, the former Secretary General. I'm just mentioning that even those who are not here, they are represented in terms of the older generation, youth and all, because their presidents are here. It's only Lulu Johnson who could not make it into the NEC. The rest of the people who serve in the ANC, NEC are young people of the ANC. The society is getting younger, the ANC is getting younger. It's reflected in the National Executive Committee. So why will anyone who's above 35 want to cling to the Youth League? The Youth League is for the young. Let them lead the ANC Youth League. Our role as older people is to give guidance to the youth and not divide them. And then allow them to talk among themselves. Yekani lento of despising each other. Nifungelane. And then want to fight to the grave. Because in the process of that, you are going to lose very young, capable leaders of the ANC Youth League with a great future in this organization. Because if you cling to a faction just serves narrow interest. Because if you let go of the faction, you know in the open scrutiny, I may not survive. Because once these people put on the real specs, they start to think properly. I won't make it. Because this group I've got only sees me. And I will not be challenged by others. So the youth of the ANC must think about the future and at the same time embrace each other. And not differ to the point that you are inimical to each other. We've been very committed to this process to make it a point that this conference does succeed and that this conference does produce the result. But we knew that it will be a conference with all its imperfections. Comrades, we've got a mountain to climb. We've got a battle and a war to win. The first battle is to ensure that we implement renewal of the ANC. That's very important. The ANC that can be respected by the people of South Africa. That respect itself first and foremost. That espouses renewal within its ranks and at the same time get to be respected by people as the modern organization that South Africans can follow. You can't expect South Africans to follow an organization where it differs and then it hails insults to each other. Leaders, batsamaya maponopono, the conference saying, leaders insult each other in a full view of the country. We were here having a national conference of the ANC. We had the differences of leadership. When the conference had to be opened, comrades were walking here insulting the national chair because they differed with the national chair. Abanye bathi awubuyi, and then wabuya umandashi. It doesn't matter, comrades, you can have a different view because we're a big organization. But you cannot define and become a defining feature that we equally become an anarchic organization. That comrades, when they have differences, they must climb on top of tables, insult each other, run down the organization, do as they wish. The ANC will perish faster than you think if that were to happen on a daily basis. It will be gone. That's why in our renewal, we have embraced things that are very painful. When you've got to see your comrade stepping aside, you know this comrade. You've been struggling with this comrade. He's your friend. He is accused about this and that. At the end, he gets to be arrested. The ANC says, step aside. You put feelings aside. You think about the organization. Because the people of South Africa, that's what they want from the ANC. The ANC that decide. The ANC that act. The ANC that become a model for generations to come. The people of this country, that's what they want. And this renewal is not going to be easy, comrades. It's going to be very difficult. I was in China with a group of comrades, and the Chinese, they explained to us how far they've gone to renew themselves. And they too, in their history, they've actually had a difficult period in terms of the Chinese Communist Party. To the point today, when you are corrupt, you are deployed by the Chinese Communist Party, they are harsher than everyone against the leadership of the party. So the ANC is not even near to that. So the renewal process we are embarking upon, it is going to be about that. Majority of you here, comrades, you are leaders of the ANC in your branches. I was saying to comrades of the NYTT, Malusi knows this as my president. When we led the Youth League, we were purists. We didn't lead knowing very well that on the other side, I'm a chairperson of a region, or I'm a member of the PC, I'm a member of the REC. We were Youth League pure. We went to a conference, you lose, you go back to your branch. The only thing that will chuck you out of the Youth League is the age. But today, you are advantageous. Yeah, I'm sitting with branch chairpersons. I'm sitting with RECs. I'm sitting with PEC members. When you lose here in this stage to become an NEC member, you know you go back to your REC position. Kokololo. Kamnandi nje. Nothing has changed in your life. So why do you delay young people? Because we're now grandmas. And besides, your age has come. And the ANC has given you an opportunity to lead. You know, when we elected and the Youth League was disbanded, and I want to apologize to Comrade Colin. And I want to repeat that example. And Malusi knows this. Because the ANC gave us a task to convene the Youth League National Conference. I was there myself, Malusi, and Natim Ted. I was the convener, Nati was the coordinator. We convened the Youth League. It is that conference where Lamola got so angry and he could not recover anymore. And Lamola is a very capable cadre. You see him. He's rounded. He's an advocate, well educated. He was a deputy chairperson he was a deputy president of the Youth League. He was contesting in that conference. And then there was Lisigo Makubele. And both Lisigo and Lamula did not raise the numbers. And Colin, wangene baleka pa kula conference. And me and Malusi, we had a different view. And Nati had a different view. But our mandate was to deliver the conference, which we did. I presented a political report in that conference that elected Comrade Colin. In that conference. And then that conference elected, as much as we did not agree with a number of things, but we understood our mandate. I'm saying it now in front of the Youth League president, Umalus, because most of you are used to gossip on Facebook. Because Facebook comrades will never build the organization. I must tell you that. Organizations are built on the ground, not on Facebook. So that one you must understand. Facebook will never build, Facebook will destroy the ANC. WhatsApp groups will destroy the ANC. If it was according to Twitter, ANC will be out of power now. Because everybody on Twitter hates us so much. And then when you put a poll there, you say EFF, ANC on Twitter, they say 100% EFF, ANC 10%. You realize most we would have long lost power. Ukuya ngaba bantu base Twitter. If we were going with them, we would have lost. Now you ANC members are not on Twitter. You are on Facebook, you gossip about the organization. You are on WhatsApp groups, you insult us there. And then you are not fighting the battle where it is fought. The battle is fought on Twitter, defining the battle of ideas in this country. Where the country must go is defined by trending on Twitter. ANC members are not there because other political parties are there. Tina CPC se Facebook. That's where we are. ANC members are in the Facebook shame. We are many there. I don't know whether it's affordable or what, but we are many there. On Facebook and on WhatsApp. Comrades, there are many challenges that I want to tell you about this process. This Youth League conference should have said a long time ago, and it did not. Because every time it must sit, comrades will differ, whom we send to the NYTT, among themselves. When the time nears what the conference must do, they will go to the leadership of the ANC and canvass it. It must actually come after elections. Even now, there's been big mobilization that this conference must not sit. And I told the NYTT, I said, if you win, some of you, that this conference does not sit, but all of you, you must know you are gone. You'll never come back. You are gone because we appoint, and you are postponing the autonomy of the Youth League. Because this Youth League, nizauza apa nizondithuka every day. Mbalula lendu yenzayo ayilunganga. Because I am actually given a responsibility to oversee these processes. Next week and next week is the Women's League. Bayalwa nabo. We will be here. 2 days ago, I met with Sanko. When I met them, some of them are forming a political party. A couple of days ago, I met with Kosas. Bayalwa nabo. Abanye babadala, they no longer qualified to be peoples. But they still call themselves Kosas. Indodenda halanje. Epase umetrik is busy Kosas. Non-stop. And you must accommodate them here. Ndifuneka nibafake laba Kokeli Youth League kuma PC. They are talented, these COSAS comrades. Nibafake bakokele. Yes, they are young. Where do you want them to go? From COSAS Youth League. And then the other one is SASCO. I arrived there are two structures, they've taken each other to court. And here's the SASCO itatapi mali oye court. Students. They take each other to court. They take each other to court. Now, you comrades, you blame leadership of the ANC. Hey, leadership, you know, you are meddling. If I can show you my phone, how many people are requesting from me to be in the NEC? I say, comrade, I don't decide. I may look like, but I don't decide who must lead the youth league. I told, let me tell you, the last time I got involved about who must lead the youth league is Julius Malema. That's the last time. This time, yes, I'm Navalo, man. Because don't you know must do SG. So, ndizabe nditenga ntoni kubani? Kukho abantu abakhuluma ngo-2027. Hey comrades, nganiyekeni u-2027 ukude kabi. Ukude kabi u-2027 is very far. Kukho nabantu mabangibulisa. But comrade Mbalula, the future. The SG and the future. If I were to listen to those people, I will never do my job as SG. Because the Kheli Upper with the hope that I'm going to be president in the kingdom is Umashatil. And that is not going to happen. Because that must happen through the structures of the organization. And two, there are people who are sitting here with hopes that Ramaphosa will not finish his term. Hey, now, colleague, ubabonsitse fireworks mauban. Answer report your public work, your public protector. Abathukisi man. I've never been a person who so hated this morning, like the public protector. Now, if you disagree with the public protector, what do? You go to court. You don't insult her because she's a woman. Because you expected her to agree with you. You put the facts before a judge and challenge the outcome. That's why the decisions of the public protector can be reviewed. Isn't it that is the law? So, when you attack and even insult the public protector because he has given a verdict that does not favor you, because where you sit with the facts that you have, I don't know whether some of them went to the public protector to give the facts. Because the only person I know who gave us this thing, it is Arthur Fraser. I don't know what he told the public protector for the public protector to arrive at the conclusions he has arrived at. And as the ANC, we are very happy that our president has been exonerated by the public protector. Should anyone stand against that or think that there is anything untoward in the report, we think that it is within their right. But we will not, because these things must be defined by consistency. It must be consistent. You can't say this one must be respected, the other one must not be respected. You know, Mkwebana's decisions were taken to court, and I've lost count how many court cases she lost. And how much money she's got in a bank to pay for all the cases she has lost. But we as the ANC, we have never said the public protector must actually be dealt with otherwise. We have respected that. And there are processes now that are unfolding in Parliament. And those processes must be respected and they must be concluded in relation to the public protector. So what we say is that the public protector must be respected. And Comrade Mzwandile Masina yesterday, addressing the press conference, explained our position succinctly, that the ANC welcomed the report of the public protector. We as the ANC, we are defined by one thing, the respect for the rule of law. Even judgments that are against us, that don't favor us, they are always underlined by the respect for the rule of law. We respect the outcome of the courts, but nonetheless we will take them on review. We don't attack judges personally. Of course, there is a period in time where comrades attacked judges personally, and we called order. The judges are not demigods. You can differ with them, and their judgments can also be challenged in a court of law. And that is why you've got recourse up until the apex court in this country. But the rule of law teaches us that we must respect the organs of the state. And the ANC cannot be at the helm of eroding the power of the state and undermining of the rule of law. If anything were to apply, or our president were to be found on the wrong side of the law or anything of that sort, and then he's got an answer to in a court of law, the ANC has got its own processes. There is no challenge with regard to that. Before, we did not have that. When things were happening, we did not have how we respond to an ANC comrade who is arrested and accused of this and that. How do we respond to that? We did not have. It's only in 2017, here in Nazareth, where we formulated an approach. And the renewal seeked us to strengthen that particular position. We never had integrity commissions in the ANC. We never. We've got them now because of the renewal processes of the ANC. So I'm saying, ANC members, disabuse yourself of rushing for positions ahead of time. We've got a battle to win. We've got a war to win in this country, to go to our people. Fasia talked about intervention in terms of electricity. That is facing our people. And when people look at us, they are in Nazareth, they are fighting. Why would young people fight with their lives for a position and not find each other? You need to find each other, comrades, in terms of the conference and its leadership. It might as well happen that others, you will not agree or whatever that it is, but do not fight with the conclusion that it is a alpha and omega. It is do or die. It can't be do or die. It can't be do or die. And the ANC guard these processes, look at them, and then attend to them, correctly so. We have now arrived at the conference, and the conference will make a determination about its way forward in relation to all the aspects of this conference. We don't have much time. We have lost time in terms of registration. And at headquarters, I can assure you, we are going to work to ensure that never again, even our national conference had to be postponed. We had it on digital platforms because we could not finish. Why? Because of registration. We must finish these processes and be able to manage our things like a ruling party meticulously. And I want to thank the media, which is something that we don't do all the time, not because we are newsworthy. I know we are newsworthy, because in this conference they expect to go. So they want those news. But I want to thank you for being with us throughout till late and even this morning in terms of this conference. That is the importance that you attach to this conference of the Youth League. And I can assure you that it has not been an easy process. It has been a difficult process to get to this point. I now came to this conference. We've got a bilateral with the South African Communist Party today at Luthuli House. The president will be here tomorrow. We've got a bilateral with the COSATU on Sunday. What are we discussing there? Today we discussed the state of the NDR with the Communist Party. And we also discussed the reconfiguration, which is a document of the Communist Party. So those are the two things we're discussing. And in the next coming weeks, we'll be having a National Executive Committee. What is that National Executive Committee going to do? It's going to look at the ANC manifesto. How have we performed since we have been elected in government? Because everybody says the ANC is underperforming. And I want to believe we are judged on one issue. And we must not be defensive where we have failed as a party. That is the nature, and that is what has made South Africans to believe in the African National Congress, to admit in its own failures, and with the determination to overcome them. So in the next 2 weeks, we will examine this question and give answers, not propaganda. Because we are judged now on one issue, which is load shedding. How the economy has performed. You all know, comrades, we had COVID in this country. COVID has taken 2 million jobs at a go within a very short space of time. We are navigating through those challenges. The global economy itself has not been responding well. Now we are faced with the biggest challenge of Russia-Ukraine. And that's why we have said there, we are non-aligned. I've heard Fasia what she says. She's a diplomat. Young people must not be diplomats. And don't apologize for thinking. Uve umtu ese platforming, Comrade SG, I want to apologize. Why do you apologize? Just talk. We will tell you how far you can go. Just talk. It is open. But don't talk about ANC problems and think that is politics in public. Talk about the revolution. If the ANC you think is selling out on the revolution, who is going to tell us if the Youth League is not going to tell us? Khalima Mutlante says the ANC Youth League is a necessary irritation. When you irritate us about what you say, hey, what are you saying? It's a necessary irritation. That's why you were formed. The Youth League is about that, comrades. And that is what we expect from our Youth League. And the Youth League must be molded and be supported in that regard, in terms of preserving its autonomy. Not this thing of preserving positions for pals, for friends. Because my friend can't make it. And then Namdi Mumbalula, because in 2027, Ndifunuba is president, so my friend must be elected at all costs, at the expense of the organization. What rubbish is that? We can't allow that. We must divide the youth here, because my chances of making it in the list are dependent on these people, so that I can be an MP. So this Youth League then is a scramble for power. Cannot be. The MPs of tomorrow of the ANC are going to come from you. I told the NYTT, they are going to come from them. There's nobody except them. That's why we must pay particular attention to our development, starting with the SG. So we must go to school and study and have degrees and celebrate education and make it fashionable. That's what is important. We can no longer celebrate mediocre, because I can tell you the youth of this country are not going to follow mediocrity. They are no longer. When you are a leader, you must pay particular attention. When you are a member of the ANC, you must pay personal attention to your own development. So that when we call you, and say we deploy you, comrade, which we don't apologize for that. You must say, na SG aginyaki ntwe ya diposo. Kinyaka uba DG. Ka uba kinali di masters tsa ka ntatekile sekolo. Kinyaka umata. You must not be apologetic about that. And then utsamaya urapela the comrade unana or wetsetswa favor. If you do that, everybody will think is making a favor. You will become a voting cattle in the conference. And comrades, I want to thank you delegates. There have been a number of disruptions at the voting registration, but the majority of you have conducted yourself patiently and with discipline. And it does not mean that you don't have issues, but you understood that you came to the ANC conference. And I'm going to ask you, comrades, you must be disciplined and work diligently because you've got to cover time for this conference. You've got to cover time for this conference. You have been very patient. You stood by in the cold and you were there. Now you are adding to the list of the Western Cape. But the Western Cape is leading. Last week we had a conference in the Western Cape. I've never gone to such a peaceful conference of the ANC. But comrades differing, including about leadership, who must be elected, who must not be elected. I opened that conference, the president closed it. There was no single incident of anarchy. In that conference, one comrade had issues about step aside. I told him that this is the position of the organization. And I wrote to him that you need to step aside, it stays. And when I look at the hall, this comrade had support. He would have made it with flying colors. But that comrade, I want to respect him today in this platform, as I repeat for what I said in Limpopo last week. Because he said, Comrade SG, I'm not going to delay conference of the ANC because of any other matter like that. I accept what you explained to me, and then I will not contest. He did not contest. And he's a very capable comrade. I've known him for years, personally. And it was difficult for me to convey that message to him. But now I'm Secretary General. I've got to speak. I've got to be the bearer of good and bad news. And most of the time, comrades, I'm going to be the bearer of bad news because our organization is not in a good state. And I reckon that most of you may not like what I correspond on behalf of the organization. When the president reshuffles cabinet, he only calls those people he wants in his cabinet. Those he has chucked out, he said, SG, you must call them. Now I must call a comrade and face this comrade and say, Jonga Mhlegazi, you have done very well, but you are not coming back, and we wish you well. And the organization still think highly about you. Didi, yeah. Now, this is what I signed for. So, if in the Youth League, I come and comrades believe that SG, and some of the comrades I know, and even in the last conference who supported me, were at the helm of saying, Mbalula must be SG. You must understand one thing, comrades. I was elected by conference to lead you, all of you, even those who did not want me. So today, I'm the Secretary General of the ANC. Even if you supported me, I cannot bend the rules for you because you supported me. I must actually act very hard against you who supported me so that ubone kahle ukuthi sichinchile izinto. Ukuthi le ndoda, if I was electing him to make him my lackey, that is not going to happen. We are now in the position where we've got to lead. And I want to thank comrades the respect you accord to the organization. It's not Mbalula. The respect you accord to the ANC, the engagement. It's been very difficult. Some of the comrades complain to me about this and that, the conference, and they leak these stories to the media. No, this conference is illegitimate and all of that. Utola, I wrote him a letter. I told him, Ukuti, khotla kancane. He now goes around and says suspended. He's not suspended. He's not. I said to him, the right you have been given to lead here is not the right, it's a privilege. We can withdraw it. And then I told him that that thing cannot even delay the Youth League conference because you are not elected. You were appointed. We can withdraw you anytime. The same as we did with Nongeba, we did with Joy. We can do it even with the NYTT. Because some of them, they put their hands. They are not helping this process. Nabo aba baxelela ma branch ukuthi no uMbalula makafika apha ngculeleni. Because they are given a task. No, I'm saying it, comrade, you can differ with me, but I'm telling you. Yes, you've got a right to differ, but I'm telling you. You can differ with me, but the truth you must know. Now, I am saying to you, comrades, this conference is not a Mbalula conference, it's not anybody's conference, it's a conference of delegates. Now, we are surrendering to you, delegates. We are surrendering to you that here is your organization, take it over and run it. We are surrendering. And that is what we are doing here today. And it has been a very difficult journey and a very painful one. For a number of years, we have journeyed with you to come to this point. So we want to thank you, comrades, for your determination to get to this point, and at the same time, with all the difficulties, for all of you, for having endured all the time to have arrived at this particular point. So here we've deployed NEC members. They've been mentioned, others will join. We have deployed them to work for the overseeing of this particular conference. So they are here to ensure that we go to, we have a successful conference of the ANC Youth League. And comrades will be guided and accept that guidance properly. And the conferences are run by rules, and I suppose we will actually observe those particular rules. There's not been anything personal with anybody. You've got a great future in the ANC, and you still have got a role to play, some of you, and like most of you are now leaders of the ANC in your own name and right. And we appreciate that. As we come here, we have lost a number of comrades because of COVID. We have lost a number of comrades who were in leadership structures of the Youth League. Some of them have been killed through violent acts in different provinces. Some of them, we have lost them through accidents. And they are not here to witness us reconvening here at Nazareth. And after that, comrades, I think it will be befitting, before I conclude, that we stand up and observe a moment of silence for all our comrades who have lost, who are members of the Youth League, who would have been here with us here today to witness and to participate in the processes that conclude this conference. And I'll ask all male comrades to take off their hat as we take a 1-minute observance of silence. Amandla, awethu, comrades, our international guests that I think will be introduced as the time goes on. You are welcomed here. But thank you very much, comrades. And we wish you a very successful conference, robust conference of the ANC Youth League. And I wish all the comrades who served in the NYTT great future in the ANC. Ningadinwa. Even tomorrow when we call you for other tasks in other provinces in the organization, please respond positively in that particular task. For comrades who are young, who are going to still journey on this path of the Youth League, all the best. I can assure you, comrades, anytime, any moment, any given day, Luthuli House is there for you. We will listen to you, we'll support you. As young people of the ANC, Malusi is here. As a former president, Sihle is here. As the former SG, Comrade Lulu Johnson is there also for you, and many other veterans of the Youth League. Omzwandile zi amper presidents, ningabathathi serious. Umzwandile azange nditsho ayigqibe ne-term ye-NYTT. You know, stories kaMzwandile is very important. Comrades came to a conference very ready ukuthi bazonyula uPule. Ntuli as the Secretary General. Umzwandile was bowing out of a conference. Umzwandile was told at the doorstep, equipodium, as serious. Ukuthi inkomfa iyaqhuba ukuthi ayikho lentsomi uyiqhubayo apha. This thing must start afresh. And then it must be turned into a consultative, whatever that it is. Umzwandile and his team, they accepted because they were interim. They never fought with the leadership about that. Because Mzwandile was over age. Anyway. So he was not contesting to be president. The person who was contesting was Pule. That tibana no Pule bomvu. That emtaka mabi kwenzakala ntoni. Wathi ndiqhuthwa inkomfa sendiyithathile. These things do happen. Don't take them to heart. Don't take them to heart, Comrade Kola. Ungasithathi kakubi. Ziyenzeka ezi zinto. And ungavumi ukuthi xa uxelelwe ngumbutho ukuthi kuyiwa le wena uvule yakho ipotsoyi. Ungayenzi loo nto. Iza kulimaza. It will injure you heavily. Because lenginginya ngomvulo izabe ingekho. Sizawubuza wena ukuthi comrade sikuxelele lento wena wayenze yakho. Ngoba comrade akomntu uzawubaphinde enze into angaphenduli. I can assure you that people will answer. This thing here, where there was being insulted by people who were not even delegates in the conference of the ANC, is business as usual up to the next conference. Kuthukiswa nje enkomfeni, there was no order. It cannot be. Conferences are there for decency, for engagement, and for comrades to conduct themselves in a disciplined fashion. Other comrades say on Facebook, silinde is suspension. Disuspend abantu. Disuspend abantu. Dienzo inhlekisa ndingunobhala we-ANC. Andingunobhala we-UDM, ndingunobhala we-ANC. Dikhethwa zi-delegates more than 4,000. I will never cower to anarchy. That must be clear. I will never. Soze divume ene i-anarchy andizi. Not coming. I'm not coming to anarchy, comrades. This is your ANC. You must defend it. Siyinhlekisa apha phandle utheyiswa karuna. Hlekiswa ngathi. Must never allow that. We must conduct ourselves in a particular manner. I come to tell, I come to ngazumanyela. I come to chonjalo. Comrades must be listened, they must engage. Bamanyelwe kuthathwe izigqibo. But we are not here to theorize forever. We don't have that time, we don't have the money to do that. You are delegates, and you must listen to me. You are delegates. This conference is in your hands. Now you can carry it. We have carried it till this far, and you must continue. Thank you very much, Delegate. So, I wish you well, comrades, and I wish all members of the NEC to work with you diligently in this conference. But Comrade Mzwandile, Malusi is not deployed. There is an invite. Mzwandile, Mahlobo, nabanye abakoyo up, ndikhona ndisaya kulanda Communist Party but ndikhona. Xa kukho into ekufuneka ziphendulwe on behalf of the ANC, ziphenduleni ma comrade, nifumene report nengxelo. Niziphendule kule conference kwesi delegates. You must answer whatever that comrades want to ask, but it must not be for long. We must go and conclude, and then we move ahead with the conference. Malusi knows that our conference in Siyabuswa 1991 was very volatile. Kwakunzima, the heat bekuchisa namhlanje kuyabanda. Kwakuchisa kakhulu, where we elected Peter Mkaba as the president of the Youth League and Rapulani as the Secretary General. And it was very tough there. So I want to thank you, comrades, for your behavior, and I wish you all the best, and then conduct yourself very well, and we love you all. Thank you very much. Amandla! Awethu! Matla! Aruna! Raw Young Lions, raw! Raw Young Lions, raw! Raw Young Lions, raw! Zoyithola kanjani? Uhlele khoneni? Uzoyithola kanjani? Phatha ANC, phatha! Phatha ANC, phatha! Kokela Ramaphosa, kokela! Kokela Ramaphosa, kokela! Kokela Mashatile, kokela! Kokela Mashatile, kokela! Kokela Mandashe, kokela! Kokela Nomvula, kokela! Kokela Marupini, kokela! Kokela TG Ramukupa, kokela! Amandla! Pagama Youth League, Pagama! Pagama Youth League, Pagama! Ayiphile Youth League, ayiphile! Salute.
Mayaliwe